Very good morning to all of you. Today we are going to discuss about water resources and what are the different resources of fresh water and what is the availability of water on the earth. Water resource is one of the important component of our environment. So we need to conserve the water resources. We need to see how we can do for sustainable water resource management. So before starting the topic, first I would like to start with the global scenario of water resources. As all we know that most of the Earth's surface is covered by water. Around 72% of the Earth's surface is covered by water. But only 2.7% of the global water is available as a fresh water. Okay, and out of all the available fresh water, 2.05% fresh waters are logged in ice caps and glaciers. So we can say that only 0.7% water is available for drinking purposes for human. Okay, although it is covered with most of the surface is covered with water, but only 0.7% water is available for drinking purpose. So you can see the very limited amount of water is available on the earth. So we need to conserve, we need to work for the sustainable management of water resources. As we know that water is very important asset for human life. It's very important for life, and we can use water for different purposes. It can be used for industrial purposes, it can be also used for agricultural practices. So we need to see how we can work on the sustainable management of water resources. Okay, so it is already here mentioned that over two-thirds of the earth's surface is covered with the water, as already we have discussed, and 92.7% of the available water is contained in the five oceans. Okay, there is a five oceans and the Antarctic ice sheet that contain 90% of all the fresh water on the planet, which is visible at the bottom. Okay, so atmospheric water vapor can be seen as a cloud contributing to the Earth's albedo. Okay, so water is very abundant. Water is abundant on the Earth's surface, but the drinking water, the water that can be used for drinking purposes, is very less. So we need to work on the management. We need to work on the conservation of the water resources. Okay, so as we know that water resources are a source of water that are useful for potential use, like water can be used for agricultural purposes, industrial purposes. It can also be used for different household purposes, recreational purpose, and environmental activities. Okay, so virtually all of these human uses fresh water. 97% of the water on the earth is salt water, because we know that water is in the form of oceans. So obviously it will be the salt water. Only 3%, around 3% of the water is fresh water, and slightly over two-thirds of this is frozen in the glaciers and ice caps. Only 3% water is available for which we you consider it as a fresh water, but that fresh water is not available very easily. They are available in the form of glaciers and polar ice caps. Okay, and the remaining part of unfrozen fresh water, that is found mainly as a groundwater. What we call it as a groundwater. Groundwater are a kind of unfrozen fresh water that is found mainly with only a small fraction present above ground or in the air. So water availability is very less, especially for drinking purpose. Okay, so fresh water is a renewable source. Okay, as we know that fresh water is a renewable source, yet the world's supply of clean fresh water is decreasing. Water demand is already exceeding supply in many parts of the world. As we know that population is growing day by day, the urbanization is very fast. So for increasing population, we need to have more water, but the water is fixed. The availability of water is fixed, and but it is also considered as a renewable resources, but the supply is very less. Supply of fresh water is very less in comparison to the demand of the fresh water. Okay, so it is important to work for the awareness of the global importance of preserving the water for ecosystem services that only we recently emerged as during the 20th century. More than half of the world's wetland have been lost along with their valuable environmental services for water education. That's why the framework for allocating the water resources to the water users is known as water rights. Okay, wetlands is also an important component of our ecosystem. Okay, but in this rapid urbanization process, in fast industrialization, wetlands have been disappeared. That's why there is a problem of the restoration of fresh water, that you call it as underground water. Okay, so we need to work, we need to have a framework that will be useful for allocating the water resources, so that a user, or we can, a user means the human can use water for their daily use for different household purposes. Okay, so this is the graph showing the distribution of the location of water on the earth. This is the distribution of earth's water. So you can see here, earth's water is only 3%. All of the earth's fresh water, only 3% water is considered as a fresh water, whereas 97% of the waters are saline, that are in the oceans. Okay, and out of all the available fresh water, that is 3%. Out of 3%, 68% waters are in the form of ice caps and glaciers, and 30% water as a groundwater. And out of all the available groundwater, okay, there are 2% contribution of the rivers, then 11% as a swamps, and 87% waters are in the form of lakes. Okay, so the available water, you can say the available fresh water that can be used for drinking purposes is very less. And we can see here, the lakes are very important component of our ecosystem, because 87% of the available fresh water on the earth surface is in the form of lakes. So we need to work on the restoration of the lakes, we need to work on the conservation of the lakes, because this is a good source of fresh water on the earth surface. And 2% water is in the form of rivers. So also we need to work on the restoration of rivers. Rivers are also considered as an important source of fresh water. So this graph is showing the graphical distribution of the location of fresh water, or the location of water resources available on the earth. Okay, so this is the iceberg. Polar caps store most of the fresh water. As we know that all the fresh waters, all the available fresh waters, most of the part of the available fresh water in the form of ice caps and glaciers. Okay, so it is not easy to retrieve. It is not easy to go for the water on the ice caps and glaciers. So we need to focus on the available groundwater, the available resources which is present in the groundwater. Okay, so this is the volume of water that is stored in the water cycle reservoir. Oceans is having 97.2%, already discussed. Then ice caps and glaciers having the contribution of around 2.05%. Groundwater 0.68%, lakes 0.01%, soil moisture. Water is also available in the form of soil moisture, which is very less, 0.005%. Okay, and atmosphere, water droplets, water vapor is also present in the atmosphere in the form of water droplets, that is around 0.001%. Water is available in the form of streams and rivers, that is around 0.0001%. Biosphere having 0.0004%. So this is the volume of the water which is stored in different forms, which is stored as a water cycle on the earth surface. So 97% is present in the form of oceans, but you cannot directly use these water for drinking purposes, because these are the saline waters. Okay, so we need to only focus on this groundwater and lakes. We can directly have the resources, we can directly retrieve the water from the groundwater and the lakes, the water present in the form of groundwater and the lakes. Okay, so what are the sources? Now we are going to discuss different sources for the fresh water. Okay, the surface water, as we know that surface water is a water in the form of rivers or lakes or fresh water. Wetland, rivers, lakes, these are the major source of surface water, which can be considered as a fresh water. Surface water is naturally replenished by the precipitation and naturally lost through the discharge of to the oceans, evaporation and evapotranspiration. Okay, whatever the water we see in the form of lakes, whatever the water we see in the form of rivers and wetlands, they are naturally produced water resources, and the major process behind this kind of water resources are precipitation. Precipitation is having important role in replenishing the natural surface water in the form of river, in the form of lake, in the form of wetland. Also, the water present on the surface is lost because of evapotranspiration or evaporation. Okay, that it can be converted in the form of clouds, and then it will be in the form, again it will be received on the earth by the earth surface in the form of precipitation. Okay, so this is a figure showing a lake. That lake is in the Chile. You can see the lake is a major source of fresh water, or you can say that it's an important surface water source. Okay, surface water, although it is only natural input to any surface water system, which is precipitation within its watershed, the total quantity of water in that system at any given time is also dependent on many factors. Okay, the important factors which can be used for the restoration of the surface water are the capacity of the lakes, the wetlands, and the artificial reservoirs. The permeability of the soil is also important for the recharging of the underground, the runoff characteristics of the land, the watershed, the timing of the precipitation, and the local evaporation rate. All these factors also affect the properties of water lost. Okay, now this is written that it's having an important component around the surface water. So human activities can have a large and sometimes devastating impact of these factors. As we know that population is increasing, so with increased population we need to have more water resources. So humans often increase the storage capacity by constructing their reservoirs, and it can be decreased by draining the wetland. We drain the surface of the earth, we drain the wetlands, so it can be a negative impact on the water resources. Humans after increase the runoff quantities and velocities by paving areas and the channelizing the stream flow. The total quantity of water available at any given time is an important consideration. Okay, and some human water reserves have an intermittent need for the water. For example, many farmers require large quantity of water for spring for what agricultural practices. So to supply such a power plant with water, a surface water system only needs enough storage capacity to fill in the average stream flow in below the power plant need. Nevertheless, over the long term, the average rate of precipitation within a watershed is the upper bound for the average consumption of natural surface water from that watershed. So you need to understand that human activities, the anthropogenic activities having negative impact on the water resources. When we talk about the surface water, so humans are in using the water resources at a higher rate in comparison to the replenishing rate of the underground waters. That's why there is a problem of water resources. Okay, so natural surface water can be augmented by importing the surface water from another watershed through the canal. Okay, for that we need to use canals and pipeline to supply the water to the areas where the water is not available. It can also be artificially augmented from any of the other resources listed here. Humans can also cause surface water to be lost, that because of the rapid population growth. Okay, so Brazil is the country which is estimated to have the largest supply of the fresh water in the world, followed by Russia and Canada. Okay, in all the countries in the world, Brazil is having the largest supply of fresh water. Then second position is for Russia, and third position is for Canada. Okay, so second important resource for fresh water, second important water source is under river flow. Throughout the course of a river, the total volume of the water transported downstream, that will often be combination of the visible free water flow together with a substantial contribution flowing through the subsurface rock and the gravels. So when water flows in the river, it's a downstream flow that will often responsible for the flowing of the water in the river, and the availability of the water through subsurface rocks and gravels that underline the river, and its floodplain is called the hyperogenic zone. Okay, hyper hyperogenic zone. This is the hyperogenic zone means the for any many years in large valleys, this unseen component of the flow may greatly exceed the visible flow. Okay, hyperhelic zone means whatever the water you see in the rivers. River is having a floodplain. River is having a channel. Each river is having the course. That is, that you can call it as a course or river channel. So the river channel is filled with the water which is coming from the downstream. That floodplain, the course of that river is known as hyperhelic zone. Okay, so for many rivers in large valleys, this unseen component of the flow may greatly exceed the visible flow. Okay, so this zone often forms a dynamic interface between the surface water and true groundwater receiving water from the groundwater. So when aquifers are fully charged and it contributing the water to the groundwater when groundwaters are depleted, this is especially significant in karst areas where the potholes and underground reserves are common. So under river flow is very important because we know that river is also having a good amount of water that can stream flow from the hills to the down to the plain area, and the amount of water in the river is an important source of fresh water that can be used for different drinking purposes, that can be used for different agricultural practices, and it can also be used as a canal to transfer or to supply the water to the areas where water is not available. Okay, so this is under river flow. Recreational water use is usually a very small but growing percentage of total water use. Recreational water use is mostly tied to the reservoirs. Okay, if a reservoir is kept fuller than it would otherwise for recreation, then the water retained could be categorized as a recreational uses. The release of the water from a reservoirs. Reservoirs means the storage of the water. Reservoir may be natural or man-made. Okay, so the release of the water from few reservoirs, either it is man-made or natural, is also time to enhance the whitewater boating, which also could be considered for the recreational use. Other examples are anglers, water seekers, nature enthusiasts, and swimmers. So the recreational water use is the use of water for recreational activities is very less, but because of the rapid population growth, because of the high urbanization rate, the use for the water for recreational purposes are also increasing. Okay, so recreational use is usually non-consumptive, means golf courses are often targeted as using excessive amount of water. Okay, golf course also requires water, especially in drier regions. It is, however, unclear whether recreational irrigation, which could include private gardens, if you are having private garden, so also you need to water, also you need to have the water for irrigation purposes. It has a noticeable impact on the water resources. This is largely due to the unavailability of reliable data. Okay, additionally, we can say that most of the golf courses, because you see that golf courses are having very green surface. They are as a you can say it's a highly greenery surface in the urban area. So for maintaining that greenery, for maintaining the vegetation in the golf course, we need to have some water. That is known as the recreational use of the water. Okay, so these kind of golf courses or any private garden, they utilize either the primarily or exclusively treated influent water, which has little impact on the potable water availability. So these are some important activities that requires water resources for different. Okay, this is about the recreational. So recreational users may reduce the availability of water for other users at specific times and places. For example, water can be retained in the reservoir Reservoir may be natural or man-made. Okay, you can store the water in the form of reservoir that can be used to allow boating in late summer, okay, which is not available to farmers during the spring planting season. Water released for white water drafting may not be available for hydroelectric generation during the time of peak electrical demand. Okay, so the use of recreational activities in case of water, we need to focus on the reduction of the availability of water for recreational use, because they may have the impact on the water availability in case of summer season. Okay, so and also water is used for hydropower plants for the generation of electricity. So there is required to have good amount of water in the dams, so that can be used for the generation of electricity using hydropower plants. Okay, so environmental use of the water resources. Explicit environmental water use is also very small, but growing percentage of total water use is there. Environmental water may include water stored in the impo- impoundments and released for the environmental purposes. That can be considered as the environmental water. But more often is water retained in the waterways through regularity limit of the obstruction. So environmental water use includes the water resources for natural and artificial wetlands. Artificial lakes can also be used to create the wildlife habitat. Fishing, fisheries, water can also be used as fisheries for wildlife habitat, and ladders and water released from the reservoirs time to time to help the fish spawn or to restore more natural flow regimes. Okay, so water is also used for environmental purposes. Water can also be used for the creation of artificial lakes that can be used to create wildlife habitat for fisheries, for ladders and water releases from the reservoirs time by time to help the fish spawn and to restore more natural flow regimes. Okay. Okay, so like recreational use of the water, environmental use of the water is non-consumptive, but it may reduce the availability of fresh water for other uses. For example, the water which is released from a reservoir to help the fish spawn may not be available to the farmers, and water retained in a river to maintain waterway health would not be available to water extractor downstream. Okay, so we need to use the water for environmental purposes, so that we may not have the unavailability of water in case of agricultural practices or in case of fish spawn or fisheries. Fisheries is also an important economic activity in urban area, so we need to have good amount of water for fisheries and fish spawn. And if we use water more for environmental uses, so there may be the problem for the fisheries sector and other environmental, like you can say, the agricultural practices. Okay, so this is the fresh water supply continent wise. This graph is showing the continent wise fresh water supply around the world. You can see there is a use of household use of fresh water and connected to the seaworld. Africa, Asia, Latin America, Oceania, Europe, and North America. Okay, so this two colors. First color is house or yard connection for the water. This is household supply of the water, and second one is connected to the sewer system. So you can see the supply of the fresh water, continent-wide supply of the fresh water, like in Europe and North America, they are having a higher amount of the fresh water supply for household purposes, for different drinking purposes and other activities. Okay, and African continent is having less amount of availability of fresh water for different purposes, for households purposes. So this is the global distribution of fresh water, and you can see the European and North American countries is having higher amount of fresh water supply in comparison to the African countries. They are having around 40% of the fresh water supply for household purposes, for household use of the water. Okay. So what are the problems that is related to the water crisis? So first problem that can lead to the water crisis is the inadequate access to the safe drinking water by over 1.1 billion people. As we know that population is increasing, so most of the population, most of the people living in different part of the world, they are not having adequate access to the safe drinking water. Groundwater overdrafting that may also lead to the diminished agricultural yield. Overuse and pollution of the water resources, they are also harming the biodiversity and habitat. And regional conflicts over the scarce water resources, sometimes resulting in the warfare. So these are some problems related to the water crisis. So most of one of the important problem for water crisis is the increased population. Population growth is one of the important problem for water crisis. Then overuse of the groundwater, then pollution of the water. It is these are some problems that can be related to the water crisis worldwide. Okay. So, what are the threats to the freshwater resources? The climate change can cause the change in the frequencies of the droughts and floods, depletion of the aquifers that can be caused by the overconsumption as a result of population growth, and the pollution and the contamination by the sewage, agricultural and industrial runoff. Okay, so these three problems are very important. These three problems can lead to the threats to the freshwater availability. Climate change, because of the climate change, the frequencies of droughts and floods are increased. Okay, there is a depletion of aquifers because of the overconsumption, overuse of the underground water, because of the population growth. More population growth means more water is required for the population. So we are over consuming the water. We are consuming the water as a at a higher rate that can lead to the depletion of the aquifers, and also the pollution and different contamination in the water resources, different contamination by the sewage system, by some agricultural waste and some industrial runoff. They can also lead to the contamination of the fresh water, and the water will be polluted, so it may be the problematic. It cannot be used for the drinking purposes. So these are some threats to the freshwater resources, and we need to focus on the climate change studies, how the climate change is affecting the water resources, how we can reduce the overuse of the underground water that can be good for replenishing the aquifers, and we should avoid the contamination by the sewage system and different kind of industrial runoff or industrial waste. Okay, so this is the figure showing the groundwater extraction rate as a percentage of mean recharge. Okay, so you can see most of the part in the world, they are having the higher rate of the abstraction of the groundwater in comparison to the recharging. The rate of recharge is low in comparison to the rate of the extraction, or you can say the retrieval of the groundwater. Groundwater is abstracted, groundwater is exploited at a higher rate in comparison to the low rate of the recharge of the underground water. That's the problem. Because of this, because of the difference between the groundwater recharging and groundwater extraction, there is a problem of water crisis. We are extracting the water at a higher rate, but the recharge of the groundwater is very low. The rate of the recharging of groundwater is very low. That can lead to the problem of water crisis. So most of the part in the world, you see, they are having higher rate of the groundwater extraction in comparison to the rate of the recharge of the underground water. Okay, now moving to the next slide. So this is the distribution of the population and water resources all over the world. So you can see here in North and Central America, water resources are available around 15% of the water resources available for 8% of the population. Okay, but here you see in the Asian countries, water resource is available around 36%, but the population is 60%. So 60% water for 60% population, there is only the 36% water is available. So there is a this is a problematic for the availability of water. And in Europe, you see water. is available, around 8% water is available, and there is population of 13%. And in African countries, water is around water availability is around 11%, and there is a population of around 13%. So you can see the Asian countries or Asian continent is having higher rate of the water, you can say water consumption, because the population is very high in comparison to the availability of water. Water is around 36%. 36% water is available, but the population is 60%. So that's why people are abstracting, people are retrieving more underground water for their daily use, for their household survey. Okay, and rest of the part of the world, in North American or Central America, in South America, they are having good amount of fresh water, good amount of water resources. Like South American countries, they are having only 6% of the population, but there is availability of 26% water resources. So there is no any problem in South American countries. The problem is for only Asian countries. Asian countries are having a major threat to the water resources because of the rapid population growth and the population size. Okay, and North America and Central American countries are having good amount of fresh water availability, and they are having population around 8%. So this is the distribution of the population and the availability of water resources in percentage in different continents of the world. So you can see the scenario how the population, the rate of population is directly related to the availability of the water resources. Okay, now moving to the next slide. These are different pressures on the freshwater ecosystem. Human activities are having potential impact on the freshwater ecosystem. Infrastructure development, like the construction of dams, the leaves, and the different kinds of developmental activities, land conversion, over harvesting and exploitation, introduction of exotic species, release of the pollutants to the land, air, or water. So the freshwater ecosystem is facing the uh, high pressure because of different anthropogenic activities. Because of anthropogenic activities, the freshwater ecosystem or the availability of fresh water or the quality of fresh water is declining day by day. So because of this, the virtually all the ecosystem functions that include the habitat, production, and the regulation functions are at threat. Water quality and quantity, the habitats, floodplain fertility, fisheries, delta economics are also having threat, are at risk because of the anthropogenic activities. Okay, and because of the over harvesting and exploitation of the underground water, there is negative impact on the food production, the negative impact of the water supply, and the quality of the water and quantity of the water because of the over exploitation and over harvesting in the agricultural practices. Okay, and also we are having pollutants, we are emitting or we are releasing different kinds of pollutants that can contaminated in the air, that can contaminated in the water. So they can affect the water supply, they can also affect the water quality, and they may also negative impact on the hydropower plant dilution capacity and transport and flood control. Okay, okay. So freshwater ecosystem is at threat, as we know that there is a less amount of fresh water is available on the earth, but because of different anthropogenic activities, because of different industrialization activities, because of different other activities, we are having negative impacts on the freshwater ecosystem. So we need to focus on the sustainable use of the water resources, so it can be used for further generation, it can be used for future generation. Otherwise the water resources will be finished after some time, so it will be problematic, we cannot survive without the water. So this table is showing how different anthropogenic activities are affecting, or you can say the negatively affecting the freshwater ecosystem, the potential impact on the freshwater, and what are the functions of the freshwater that is at the risk because of different anthropogenic and human activities. Okay. So this is the figure showing the events that is released to the transboundary basins. Although the transboundary water resources can endanger the hospitality, the record of the cooperation is vastly superior to that of acute conflict. That is to say, water is much more a vector of cooperation than a source of conflict. Okay, so in this figure we can see different uh, transboundary basins, different water resources available in different part of the world, and what are the negative impacts, and what are the you can say the water crisis, what are the negative and positive sign of the water crisis around the world. Okay, formal war, extensive military acts, small scale military acts. Okay, then we can have mild verbal support, official verbal support, inflation into one nation. Okay, international water treaty, military, economic, and strategic support. We can use these factors to improve the availability of water resources, to improve the availability of water quality, or to improve the water resources for the household use and different purposes. Okay, so this is about the water resources, and in the next class we will discuss about the condition of water stress, how different kinds of pollutants are affecting the water, what are the water pollution, and what is different pollutants that can be contaminated in the water, so the water quality will be diminished, water quality will be declined. Thank you very much for today's class.